Howdy everybody, my name is Eric and I work with REI Co-op out here in Arizona. And with REI I do a lot of work with the outdoor footwear department. So with this video, what I figured I could do is touch on 5 or 6 of the main questions and concerns that I encounter with people looking for hiking, trail running, or backpacking shoes, and hopefully be able to knock them out so that when you go in to look for your shoes, you have better tools in your toolkit to make a proper decision. Luckily, REI has a great return policy, so I always recommend them if you are going to look for hiking shoes, just so if you do take them out and you do encounter problems, you have a 1-year satisfaction guarantee to go ahead and bring them back and get you some ones that fit a lot better. So let's get started. The first thing you need to understand is that there's not one best shoe for every situation. So the REI that I work at is it's in a wealthy area. So we have a lot of customers come in who have never been backpacking or hiking before, and they tell me, look, just find me the best shoe that you can find, the best one that you have that everyone wants. But I always have to tell them, like, look, there's not really one best shoe for every situation. Everything in backpacking or hiking is a trade-off. You know, if you add more stability and you add more durability and you add more abrasion resistance, that's going to lead to more weight and more stiffness and less flexibility. If you get a shoe that's more flexible, where you can feel the ground a lot more, like those 5 fingers or other zero-drop shoes, that's going to cut down on your stability. That's going to cut down on your ability to carry more weight up and down the trail. And you're really going to feel that, especially coming down the trail. So you have to find the one that really piques your interest, and you know, everyone's different. You know, you have some customers that love the feeling of being able to feel the ground. You have some customers that don't want to feel the ground at all. They want a stiff sole that's almost like a tank that's going to bulldoze through those trails. And customers, what they'll do is they'll go online and they'll watch some videos and read some articles and read some reviews, and they'll get so caught up in the features and the gimmicks and all the little things of the shoe that really don't matter. Ultimately, what matters is the fit. So don't get caught up in the waterproofing, don't get caught up in the materials, don't get caught up in the sole construction just yet. You know, let's worry about the fit first, and then we can worry about all those other features, because you know, you can have the best abrasion resistance, the best waterproofing, the most epic outsoles, just all the features of your shoe are just clicking, but if it doesn't fit your foot properly and you're out there 10 miles in the backcountry with these massive blisters on your feet, you're going to have a terrible experience. And that's one thing about an outdoor lifestyle. It's all about keeping the morale high, making sure your equipment is correct for the situation that you're in. If you have incorrect equipment or incorrect footwear, I'm telling you, all the little nature, all the scenery that you thought you were going to be loving, you're not going to be loving it. You're going to be thinking 100% about how much your footwear sucks. So just know that. So what I usually do when fitting a customer is I'll bring out several different types of shoes. I'll bring out a Keen, which is typically a wider toe box that has a stiffer upper. What I'll also bring out is a Merrell Moab, which again has a wider toe box but a more relaxed upper and a more flexible walk in motion. And then I'll bring out a shoe like a backpacking shoe that's a mid, maybe one like a Solomon or an Oboz that's a bit more narrow. And that way I can determine the width, I can determine if they like a mid shoe or a low shoe, what kind of upper they like. So I'll bring out 3 different types to really gauge what they like and don't like about each shoe, and then I'll use that information to go in to make a more specific decision to bring out more specific shoes for their needs. Weight matters more than you think. So if you've ever gone out and done a boxing class or done boxing before, you know there's a huge difference between putting on a 12-ounce glove and putting on a 16-ounce glove. Those extra 4 ounces make a huge difference as far as your fatigue. So seriously, go out, get, you know, maybe do a class, put on some 12-ounce gloves, hit the heavy bag for a couple minutes, and then throw on the 16s to hit the heavy bag. You're going to notice a huge difference. You're going to notice a huge difference, even in just those 4 ounces. And there's a rule of thumb, which I don't know how scientific it is, it could be total bro science, that says that 1 ounce on your feet is equal to 6 ounces on your back. And I've heard a similar thing in cycling that says 1 ounce of wheel weight is equal to 4 ounces of frame weight, because the wheels in your feet are moving, whereas the material that's going to be on your back is going to be static. So the weight that actually moves, weight matters more because your feet are having to pick up that weight each time to be able to do, you know, hiking or backpacking. So, you know, a shoe that may in the store maybe just a few ounces lighter, maybe you don't notice the difference, but I'm telling you, you know, every extra mile you go out in the backcountry or hiking, you're going to notice that extra ounce even more. There are several different types of waterproof shoes. There are different types of breathable shoes. They use different materials. For the most part, let's compare waterproof breathable to waterproof waterproof breathable to ventilated. So a waterproof breathable shoe is going to be the most common hiker and light backpacker shoe they have. And essentially what it is you'll either have a Gore-tex liner or an EVAT liner or a dry liner. And what it does is it's a liner that's laced on the inside of the boot. And it almost acts as a skin, or it's marketed to act that way, where it does not allow the water to get in from rain or from exterior forces, but it will allow some of the sweat from your feet to be able to evaporate. Now, it works better in theory than it does in practice, and a big reason for this is the weave of the actual bootie on the inside of the shoe is heavily dependent on a DWR waterproof coating to be able to work. Once that waterproof coating is gone due to dust, due to dirt, due to an excess of water, it really becomes a shoe that is not great at being waterproof and also not great at being breathable. Another downside to a waterproof shoe is because they don't breathe well, if you're in a warmer environment, your feet can sweat. And if your feet are sweating because your shoes don't breathe well, it kind of defeats the purpose of having a waterproof shoe because the water is coming from your foot and not from exterior forces. Another thing is, if you get a shoe that's ventilated or breathable and it does get wet, which any waterproof shoe, I don't care what it is, if it's raining really hard and you're having a lot of mud, your foot's gonna get wet. Some seam or some portion of the shoe of the waterproofing is gonna fail and the water's gonna get in there. So my philosophy is, look, assuming that my foot's going to get wet anyways, I try not to hike during bad weather, but if it happens, I'd rather have a shoe that is ventilated and breathable so that it could dry faster rather than a shoe that has an extra liner laced inside that's going to take a long time to dry. The last thing was get past the honeymoon stage of your shoe. So customers will walk in, they'll put on a pair of shoes and they'll walk around and they'll spend 5 minutes walking around just like they do with their casual shoe, just like they do with their running shoe. And they'll be like, you know what? I found the shoe for me. This is good. And REI, obviously, it has a great return policy. And if they bought that shoe and took it home and brought it back, it'd be no problem. But I always tell them, look, spend an extra 10 minutes just walking around the store. We have a set of stairs right there. We have a climbing rock right here. Spend some time walking up and down these things and really try to subconsciously analyze if there's any hot spots going on in your shoe. Because a slight hot spot taking place inside the store is going to be exponentially worse out the further you go. And with the rock wall, and specifically, what I always tell customers is, look, I see people use the rock wall incorrectly. They walk up and down it in a very handy-dandy kind of like, ooh, this is fun. I tell them, like, look, pretend like you're hiking. You're walking up that thing. You're walking down it. You're taking big steps off. Try and deliberately jam your toe into the toe box when you jump off. And if you feel a big contact between your toenail and the front of the toe box, the shoe's either a little bit too big or it's too small. So that gives you a good indication on fit, because a lot of times when trying to feel the toe box of a hiking shoe, it's really difficult to feel where the toe is because the toe boxes of the shoes are beefed up to protect against rocks and kicking walls and stuff like that too. So yeah, so again, take the shoes, 15 minutes around the store, and then let's say you get a backpacking shoe and you walk around the store for 15 minutes, feels great. You did your rock wall exactly like I said, you walk them down the stairs, and they feel like they're the right one for you. In that case, what I would do is take them home, take them on a couple of different day hikes, maybe some longer hikes, and that's the best way to get an indication before a backpacking trip. Again, you don't want to find out that your shoes are not fitting in the middle of a backpacking trip 20 miles out in the middle of nowhere. It's going to ruin your entire experience. So, last thing that's not on my list, get yourself some moleskin. Moleskin's like almost like a tape / band-aid that goes over the blisters in your shoes. Pretty much every backpacking trip or heavier hiking trip that I've gone on, I've started to get some blisters. So bringing the moleskin and put over when I do feel a hot spot coming on is the best way to not have any injuries or problems. So yeah, that's all for this video today. And yeah, check me out in the future for some reviews on some of my equipment, such as the Osprey anti-gravity backpack or my Black Diamond hiking poles. Take care, guys.